Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, and our next guest up needs no introduction. Mark Furman, our reporter in the field, director with Tarlow, Hart Rodgers. Always a pleasure to see you and to have you on Radio Entrepreneurs.
Jonathan, it's great to be with you, as always.
Good stuff. Well, we have a lot going on in this world of ours, a lot of change, a lot of COVID pandemic related issues within companies, law firms, a lot of decision making going on, and perhaps precedent setting in terms of policy. What are you seeing out there? What are some of the concerns? What companies and employers need to look out for, as well as employees?
Well, we're really at a point where we're starting to make plans for people to return to work, but we need to figure out what exactly that means. And, you know, people have been working remotely now for so long. Believe it or not, I was last in my office March 16, 2020. And during the last 13 months, I've gone to court, I've mediated cases, I've conducted and defended depositions. I've
the new normal, as they say. I mean,
the new normal. But you know, when everybody's remote, there is a loss of you know, camaraderie. There's a loss of connectivity among coworkers. There's no water cooler to chat about. And so there is a loss. And, you know, our firm has tried to do some fun things to connect people. For example, I think in a couple of weeks, we have a magician coming in for the second time, who did a great job around the holidays, and we decided to have him back for an encore. And you know, just to kind of connect people. And
he was that successful at making a partner disappear?
That's right. Well, he was very good at keeping me out of the office, which that was good.
He's perfected that.
But you know, what does this mean? Are we going to require people to be back? Are we going to require them to be back every day? You know, some law firms are talking about a model that everybody has to be in the office one day a week, and then beyond that, you know, they have to be productive and wherever they work from. And we're gonna, you know, we haven't made any decisions yet, and I think realistically we're probably looking at Labor Day as the moment. But I think these are, how do you deal with people who have religious objections to getting a vaccine? How do you deal with people who don't have religious objections but don't want a vaccine because for whatever reason they don't trust the testing? You know, all these vaccines are being given based upon emergency authorization as opposed to the full monte of years and years of clinical trials. And you know, this,
we're learning it on the fly as we go, right?
It's all on the fly.
Who knows the efficacy after 6 months, because nobody studied it beyond 6 months.
Correct. And you know, so AstraZeneca has never been approved in the States, and Johnson & Johnson has been, I guess what they euphemistically call paused at the moment as they investigate these blood clots that are different than blood clots from other drugs and figure out treatment and all of that. So, you know, these are complicated issues. And we've all gotten used to working remote. And, you know, this has really made obvious a societal divide between those people who can work efficiently remotely, which, you know, I think I have the good fortune of being one of them. And those people who are in the been dealing with the public in the front lines since this began without interruption. And
I
they,
think that the numbers and the implications are enormous, though. And when you think about it in terms of how many people within your peer group or people that you interact with still are not back in a regular work environment, I can't imagine that, or can imagine that there's a large percentage of those who will either choose not to go back, or their employers will either want them back, won't want them back full time. So, I think everybody's sort of in the midst of navigating what this means, not only for us and our organization, but on an individualized basis. And so I think what you're talking about is really getting down to, well, what about individual choice or individual preference? Does that have a place within the decision making?
well, I think it has a place, and each employer is going to have to kind of balance what exactly that means. If one thing has become clear during the pandemic, it's that the United States Supreme Court is going to treat religious liberty as a high value proposition here. They've struck down a lot of these emergency orders that have impacted religious get-togethers, and they've really scrutinized those because of the free exercise religion is included in the First Amendment to the Constitution. So this court has made that, I think, crystal clear. So that's going to impact where there are religious issues. But, anti-vaccination views are shared for non-religious grounds too, just on either distrust for the government or personal liberty types of claims. And so what do you do if you have 50 or 100 people in the office and you have a person who isn't going to get a vaccine? I mean, can you require it? I was just reading about all the universities who are struggling with this for the fall semester. And an increasing number are requiring vaccinations as a condition to returning to the, to college in the fall. So there's going to be litigation, and there are going to be people claiming a religious objection. There's going to be people claiming a liberty objection, and employers are going to just have to grapple with it. Our office has been open this whole last 13 months, and people can come in, but we have a skeleton crew, but very few lawyers come in, but everybody's working. And because of the lack of a commute, that has also created possibilities for even greater efficiency, because commuting into Boston has had its challenges for many years, and it's gotten worse and worse before the pandemic. So for me, it was almost 2 hours a day commuting that has freed up. So
absolutely, you can use productive in other productive means, but it's fascinating because I think sort of this notion that one size fits all with regards to returning to offices or companies setting policies. I think you're absolutely right. We're going to see a lot of people who turn to whether it's discrimination or whatever the suits are that are going to come when employers say, no, you must be vaccinated to come back to the office. Well, I choose not to. So that's I could see a whole spate of challenges within that, and I think companies have to pay attention to what who their employers are, or who their employees are, who their clients and customers that they interface with are. There's a whole range of factors that go into the decision making, and it's complicated.
Yes, and I think among competition among employers for employees is going to stiffen as the economy improves, and people who want some accommodation are going to be looking for jobs with employers who allow that flexibility. I have to say that, we have a longtime employee who, for personal reasons, decided to move to a different state. And so we tried it out with her working remotely, and it's been seamless for years and years before the pandemic. She's a valued employee, and of course, it never occurred to me that you could take this on a broad scale and use half of your footprint for your office if you wanted to. Well, now I think you have to think about what that looks like. There's been a lot of talk of the glut of office space in metropolitan areas, in the urban areas, downtown Boston, for example, and people are reimagining the office. Another aspect, I think, Jonathan, is there was, before the pandemic, work, and then there was non-work / family, and there was a division. It was pretty clear. You took public transportation or drove your car to work, and you stayed there, and then you went home, and at that point you engaged in your personal life. Well, as people work from home,
all blended.
It's all blended, and we've had this period of time where kids are home and people are working, and there may be a spouse working from home and another spouse who's working in person outside the home, and kids are in school remotely, but they're home. It's just it's a new world. And so, this is going to accelerate, I think, societal changes that would have occurred over time as a result of technology and what it allows people to do in terms of work. But everything's going to be expedited. And I think we're going to see in the last quarter of 2021 more permanent ways of trying to structure work environments and work from home and all of that. So it's exciting to see how this all plays out.
Absolutely. Mark Furman, it's always a pleasure having you on, looking into your crystal ball and seeing some of the challenges that office environments and corporations are going to face, and having experts like yourself to help them navigate through. Mark, if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I can be reached at either 617-218-2025. It's my direct line, or M Furman, FURMAN at tbhr-law.com.
Excellent, Mark. Always a pleasure to have you on, and always a pleasure to see you. I'm Mark Furman, Director of Tarlow, Hart Rodgers, and we'll be right back with another guest on Radio Entrepreneurs.